Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. And it wouldn't be a venture forward without a disclaimer or two, so let's talk about that real quick. In the sense that a lot of what I'm dealing with, a lot of what I've dealt with prior for the last 2 years up to now in that addiction, especially alcohol, is basically your run-of-the-mill substance abuse. And I will say this, if you're looking for options with respect to mental health or substance abuse, contact SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, at 1-800-662-HELP. It's 1-800-662-4357. The service is open 24/7, 365 days a year, and is a confidential free information service for individuals and family members facing such stressors. Importantly, if you're feeling suicidal crisis or emotional distress and need to be put in touch with a crisis center, call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can also text the word HOME to 741-741. Those resources are also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other thing that I think I'd be remiss not to talk about before we start the show is what I've been talking about for the last 5 months, in that of, wrong bug, in that of multiple sclerosis. And it's something that has been really, really important to me ever since the diagnosis back in January, but I'd be remiss not to talk about this. The National MS Society is a collective of passionate individuals who want to do something about MS now, to move together towards a world free of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is comprised of unpredictable and often disabling flare-ups of the central nervous system. Such flare-ups disrupt the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. The National MS Society is the largest private funder of MS researchers in the world, investing more than $1 billion to date. MS stops people from moving, but the National MS Society exists to make sure that MS doesn't. To contact the National MS Society, please call 1-800-344-4867. Again, 1-800-344-4867. Or go to their website at nationalmssociety.org. Also, worth mentioning is the fact that we're still raising money for the National MS Society through A Venture to a Cure's fundraising page at rebrand.ly/A Venture to a Cure. The effort will last through September 30th, 2021. And again, a deep-hearted thanks to all of those that have donated money to this amazing organization through A Venture to a Cure and through other channels. It touches me in so many ways, and I appreciate all of you. And on that, let's begin this special. And look at that board, the board that we see on every single introduction to the show. And I look back at the number of days I invested in a diet and my sobriety and not gambling. One of the numbers that stick out is the number of days that I've been sober. Because quite frankly, my diet really didn't take off until I made a decision that I was painfully addicted to alcohol. So much so that I am an alcoholic. Tonight we celebrate 2 years of sobriety because this is the Venture Forward. Was my gin of choice for the martinis I drank. That's going bye-bye too. Let me do this live just to make sure everybody understands what's going on here. Valves open. Valves poured. This has not been easy. You would think it was easy because I haven't had a drink in 400 and some odd days, 470 days, but this is hard. These are chapters of my life that I'm getting rid of because I knew how much they were hurting me. That was video I shared with you earlier in the season. That was when I realized that there was no chance for me to move forward. Even 400 some odd days invested to sobriety with having all this alcohol in this house. That was the day I cleaned out the closet in my kitchen, the pantry, got rid of many bottles of alcohol, including that bottle of gin you saw there. And it's something that, for reasons outside of health, outside of weight rather, outside of mental health, outside of physical health, is a reason why my sobriety has been so important to me. And it is an absolute honor and pleasure to be talking to you all tonight on this very special venture forward. I am John Venturini. I am a recovering addict of alcoholism, a recovering addict of overeating, obesity, and a recovering addict of compulsive gambling. And it is an honor to see all of you tonight. I been through a wealth of emotions today. A wealth of emotions. It's something where I am really blessed and thankful for all of you that have been following this along. Friends I've made in the last year and change. Also, people that I've been in my life for a very long time, reaching out to me, making sure that everything's okay outside of everything that's going on. We could talk about sobriety, which we are tonight. We could talk about the weight loss, which we will always talk about. We could talk about the compulsive gambling. But there has been a wealth of things that have taken place over the last year, especially the last 6 months, that every now and then I am just taken back in awe of, well, this is time for me to roll up the sleeves and dig deeper and dig more deep and to go forward and not backwards. Hello to all of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. There's some comments. Let's get to them. Let's get to all of you. Marilyn says, congratulations, JV, on your 2 years of recovery. I have had two years to months and 2 days today. So I'm really excited to hear your story. You are such an inspiration. So are you, Marilyn. Thank you for being here tonight. Fellow co-host of VF Talks, Matt Haas. Hello there. Hello, Matt. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you this evening. Sue says, good evening. Congratulations on your 2 years. A big thank you for all you've taught me. Sue, you've taught me a lot too, and thank you. Thank you for being here, but thank you for what you've shared with me through the recovery groups and whatnot. So you're incredible, and thank you. For sure. Matt says, nowhere to go but up. I agree. And this truly is a venture forward. So I'm going to talk about what basically told me that this was the last night I was drinking. Back on May 30th, 2019. When I have already went down a road to saying, you know what, being at 480 pounds was not a really good place to be, especially if I'm going to be moving about and traveling and whatnot. That I can't walk more than 5 to 10 feet without sitting down. That was one bottom I faced. The next bottom was the fact that even though I said, okay, I'm going to watch everything I eat. I'm going to track everything I eat, as I have been since the beginning of 19. I was still drinking, and I realized that's not doing me any good either. On May 30th of 2019, I went out to dinner, as I normally do. And I went to a Mexican place not far away from here, and it was my cheat night. So was there nachos? Yeah, absolutely. Was there empanadas? Yes, there were. And other really tasty food. But there was plenty of alcohol. Plenty of alcohol. When I say plenty, I mean too much of it. There were 2 pitchers of jalapeno cucumber margaritas. There were multiple Manhattans. And when the night was over, or at least I thought the night was over, come home. The time was married, my ex. And that wasn't enough. So there was more bourbon and there was wine. And by the end of the night, the room was spinning and then some. I've had way too much alcohol, way too much imbibing going on, so to speak. That when I was laying down in bed, I couldn't lay down straight. Everything was moving. You could say that I was laying in a fetal position because it was rough, to say the least. At 3:30 that night, that morning, I had to go to the bathroom. And I had what they call a reversal of fortune. A reversal of fortune that lasted a while. A reversal of fortune that had me with a red eye, bloodshot eye, for about the next 5 days, 6 days. Everything was very nauseous to me for the next 4. And the thing is, I knew from that point forward, I can never be in that sort of position ever again. Especially when I'm making a very conscious effort to drop a massive amount of weight for the 3rd time in my life. But also realizing how dependent I was to alcohol. I was drinking every single day up to that for about a week and change. And that night, that May 30th, back in 2019, you could say was the denouement. The unraveling of the knot, so to speak. That was the last night I drank. 2 years ago. Haven't touched any of it since. Nor do I have any desire to. Because it brings back so many memories of a behavior and a life that was not sustainable. That was killing me. Absolutely, by no question of any sort of mind, was it killing me. Outside of the fact that I had a BMI of about 68. Outside of the fact that I had a bad little history of finance as well. We talked about that later on in that of the compulsive gambling. That was a bottom that needed to be broken. The next set of weeks, next set of months were hard? Absolutely. When someone was basically using alcohol as a crutch, as a safety net, not really a safety net now, is it? The go without was very, very rough. There was a bottle of bourbon next to the coffee maker for a very long time. And it was a weakness. It was a very, very bad addiction. Outside of everything else we've talked about on this show, outside of the overeating, outside of the gambling, outside of the codependency, outside of the co-addiction, all of that, this was something that was way, way out of my control previously, and something that needed to be put down as quickly as humanly possible. Required a lot of help, especially when we get through 19, we get into 20, we get into the craziness known as 2020. The Backstreet Boys reunion tour, whatever you want to call it. and realizing that I'm going to be alone for a while. There's no place to go without, everything was in code red for a while. I still had a closet full of alcohol. That alcohol had to go by the wayside for my safety, for my peace of mind. So that's what that video was. That was one of many different bottles that went away that night. Everything that was the higher end stuff, I gave to a dear friend. I don't want it in this house anymore. And it's gone. It is all gone. It makes me very emotional talking about it because I remember what was involved with those bottles. I remember whether they were gifts or they were bought at stores or they were that I can tell you where everything came from. And why it was in this house, I have no idea. And yet it was. So, it's gone. Then comes the question, well, okay, you don't have it in the house, but what are you going to do now? You still go out. You still go out to eat. You still go on travel. You still do this. Still do that. What is holding you down? And I recall many bad situations that have taken place over the years. Inappropriate things that may have been said. Inappropriate situations. Inappropriate arguments. Inappropriate fights. Not physical, thank God. And I can link all of that back to drinking mass amounts of alcohol. Whether it was a question of things that took place with family, things that happen with friends, things that happen, whatever, right? All of that. It was a chapter of my life, chapters, plural, that did not need to be gone down anymore. It provided me nothing but heartache. Not to say that every moment was like that, but the moments that stick out, the moments that stick in the back of your mind certainly do. So, anyhow, some comments. Susan said, not getting to stream on YouTube. Facebook and YouTube are acting up again. I'm glad you're still here, Susan. Susan also said, I watched that video, and even with my sobriety, I thought when I saw you pouring it down the drain, I was right there with you. There's a reason why I hold on to that video. There's a reason why I hold on to pictures and video of me pouring everything down the drain. Because I have to remember what that actually was. Now, some people will say, why would you hold on to those relics? Why would you hold on to that? I do that so I have an appreciation for where I am now, because I know what the past was. And I could probably get into a debate on this with anybody about, well, you should get rid of it. Well, yeah, I think if I dwell upon it, if I just spend every waking second looking at it, yeah, then maybe you have a point. I shouldn't look at that. I shouldn't keep it. Fortunately, 2 years sober and moving forward, I don't look at it much. I look at a chance for me to keep on cleaning this up, keep on living the best life I possibly can, but also loving and caring and providing as much wisdom as I can. That's why we do this show. That's why I'm with you. Because there are days where I need it too. And I'm so thankful for all of you. I absolutely am. There are some people I wanted to address tonight. Because, quite frankly, I would be remiss not to. There's a dear friend of ours in the recovery groups that has basically, and I gotta say, and I'll put the link up after the show, but has lived a year of sobriety and shared as much of that in a very heartfelt video. I mean, without question, a very heartfelt video. I think of that. I think of a lot of us. I think of a lot of us in that sort of piece where we're all trying to clean this up, where we're all trying to figure this out. And Sean Leary, I'll put the link after the show on YouTube. But that was an incredible video you put together. And much thanks to you. Much thanks to you for mentioning the Venture Forward, but also much thanks for your friendship. Much thanks for all that. So, Sean, thank you. Next shout out goes to Sober James, a guy who, in a world where we didn't have recovery group meetings, Sober James was definitely and still is doing the darn thing, as he would say. And I appreciate the fact that he is still on twice a week and has a great community through a Discord server and whatnot, keeping touch with everybody and keeping that 24/7 line together. The next person, LT Weaver, the recovering addict. LT, you are doing so many things right now for the recovery community. I cannot possibly thank you enough, as well as many of us can't thank you enough. You are doing something incredible. You're providing so many people an outreach, a service, when we still are not completely back to normal. Won't be for a long time, if you ask me. But what you're doing is incredible between you and James. Nicole, Real Recovery with Nicole. You've been fantastic too. And I appreciate all that you do and the tightly knit community that you have. The three of you are doing so much. There are many other groups out there that have done so much for this community. But I wanted to profile, or at least talk to, or give thanks to the three of you, because you really have helped me. Couple of additional comments as I was giving quick shout out to Sean and LT and Sober James and Nicole as I try to find my mouse. And this first comment comes from the first guest on the very first episode of the Venture Forward, and that of Merck. Merck, I love you too. And thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for all that you do. You are a great friend, and there would be no Venture Forward, at least in program form, without you. You were incredible on that first episode. If you get a chance to, if you haven't seen that episode, it's the first episode, 1.1. Merck talks his story, and he talks it really darn well, and I seriously recommend you watch it. So, Merck, glad you're here tonight. Couple of other people I wanted to thank in this sort of, this is what life is now, and this is what I'm trying to do to be the best possible person I can be, but also provide as much of myself with such a big mind and a big heart and a big soul, all of that. I want to thank a couple of folks that are in the live streaming community, in that of Larry Petrucci and David Foster. Without the two of you, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. And I am very, very appreciative of Impartial Geek and Live Streaming Pros. I am thankful for the LEDA program, Live Every Day in August, with Live Streaming Pros. I am very thankful for the content that you put out each and every day. The two of you are incredible. And I am absolutely 100% appreciative and thankful for what you do. I love all of you very dearly. Very much so. And the people that I've met through those two groups, in that of Live Streaming Pros and Impartial Geek, talking about Callie and Elo and Jennifer and all of you. Matt Haas we met through Live Streaming Pros. Matt Haas becoming the greatest co-host. That and Paul Burke as well. It has been a very incredible time. You could look at the black and white of the situation, you could look at brass tacks and say, oh my God, we're dealing with something that we haven't dealt with in the world for 100 years and change, and we're dealing with this now. And we can look at that, as scared can be, or we can do something about it. Say, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is how I want to change my life. I am very appreciative of all of you. Another person I'm very appreciative is someone whose comment I'm going to bring up real quick. Sarah Steele. Sarah, another person I met through Live Streaming Pros. Sarah, you're incredible. I am very thankful and very, very much appreciative of you. So I'm glad to see you tonight as well. This has not been an easy journey, as I'm sure it's not been an easy journey for any of you. But I know that within this community, within the people that are watching right now live or watching on replay, all of you, I know we have a shot. I know we have a shot because we have each other. You go to someone like LT Weaver and say, we recover better together. That's certainly one phrase I like to use. I like to say we stream better together as well. So we talk about that in the sense of Sarah and Paul and Matt and Luria and David and all of you. And Callie and Jennifer and Elo. We are all in this together. We absolutely are. And we must never forget that. That is why I couldn't think of any better place for me to be tonight on the 2nd year anniversary, my 2nd birthday, sobriety-wise, than to be with you tonight. I went out to dinner earlier in the evening with Ashley. We went out to dinner, and I didn't put any notes in the reservation. I just wanted to go out to dinner because I wanted to celebrate this. And someone must have got wind of the fact that I am celebrating my 2nd year of sobriety, or my 2nd birthday. And at the end of dinner, they said, "Well, you want dessert?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Here's this." And when it came out just beautiful. It said, the graphic was up in the pre-roll. Let's see if I can bring this up real quick outside of the pre-roll. But it basically said, congratulations. It said, congratulations, John. And the thing is, there are people that realize this, people that understand this story, people that understand what this is all about. So much so that when you come to a table and it says that, 2 years and counting, congratulations, John. What can I say? What can I say? Jennifer and Robin, everybody over in KOP, thank you. Thank you for doing that. I was walking to the car in tears. And it's another reminder of the incredible people that have come to my life that recognize how hard this has been. Thankful for you too. So, the sobriety is something that is really close to me. It is something, it's a chip that is now in my pocket. One that says the number 2 for sobriety. Outside of the number 2 for the tracking food. Outside of the number 1 for the compulsive gambling and beating that too. There have been a lot of things I've learned, and there are a lot of things I'm continuing to learn. And because all of you have been there for me, and because I'm there, we can do anything. We really can. When your mind's in the right place, we can do anything. So, I wanted just to spend a little time with you tonight. Thank you. And on Tuesday, we'll talk about something that's also tied to all of this by way of relationship and trying to untangle that, because that's what we do. We roll up our sleeves and we try to untangle whatever we can untangle and try to make sense of it all. So Tuesday, we're going to talk about when relationships have to change, when relationships have to end, especially when there are a lot of other things that are underneath it. So that'll be Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. And then Thursday, we're going to talk about how we move forward from basically unraveling all these knots. A lot of denouements we're talking about here. A lot of denouements. We'll talk about that on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll have another edition of the VF Talks. We talk about anything and everything. Friday, 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific. Tuesday, Thursday, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Couple more comments before we put a giant bow on this. Susan says, thank you, bless you, one day at a time. That's right. One day at a time, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, Susan. Thank you. Marilyn says, what a wicked web we weave during our drinking. How do you say we must untangle it? We must untangle it with the mindset that it has to change first and foremost. If we don't recognize the fact that there is a need for change, then there will never be a chance for us to untangle that. That is true for any of the things that stand in our way, Marilyn. We recognize the fact that there is a need for change. We recognize that there is a problem, and then we start doing our darnest to fix it. Does it go back to saying the Serenity Prayer? Sure. You want to say the Serenity Prayer? We can do that. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And when I need to be reminded that I can't control everything, but I can control the things I can change, I remember that. I remember serenity. Always. Sarah says, so admirable, John. Thank you, Sarah. Marilyn says, so true, John. You've got this. God bless you. We all have this. Thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Sarah. And Sarah says, sincere congratulations. I love all of you. From the bottom of my heart, I love all of you. And I will say the same thing I say at the end of every single venture forward. Stay safe. Stay sane. Stay strong. Stay sober. You're worth it. I will see you Tuesday night at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Have a great night.